Hey everyone, welcome to the It's My Time show. I'm your host, David Andron, along with James Gamble from the Global Scouting Bureau. And this is episode 6, and the title is Finding Your Fit. Hey James, welcome back, man. Glad to have
Glad to be here, man.
you. Today we want to talk about, finding the perfect fit for these athletes. A lot of times we help players move on to the next level and we give them a bunch of opportunities. Instead of evaluating every opportunity that get presented, they hurry up and they commit to the closest one to home, or the one thing that's not really important to their fit, and end up wanting to transfer after because they're not happy there. So I really want to talk about finding the good fit and evaluating all the opportunities out there for them. And I know you can help me touch on that a little bit today.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're saying it for me. What we talk to kids every day and their parents every day, and I feel like kids, as much anxiety as they can handle, is as long as they stay in that recruiting process. And sometimes they cannot handle the anxiety. So the first time they get an offer, I mean, they're ready to commit day one. So we try to prepare them. There's three general questions that we ask every kid, regardless of whether they're going Division 1, 2, NAIA, Division 3, junior college, whether it's Division 1 or 2. We kind of remove all of that and say, number one, can you picture yourself in that city, on that campus, and are you happy? If the answer is no, we need to stop. So a lot of times in today's world, kids haven't even been there. They're committing so early. They've never visited the campus. They don't know the city. That kid is going to be living there. And that kid is a young man, okay? Or if it's a female sport, it's a young woman. Mom and dad aren't going to be there. That comfort zone's kind of left, whether he's 2 hours or 10 hours away. He's going to be living in a new place. If he's not going to like it, it's not the right fit. So we need to pause. But if he says, yes, I checked that box, I do like the city, I can see myself here and I'm being happy, then we look at the baseball program and we say it's a gut check. Can you see yourself playing here? Not being on a roster, not sitting on the bench wearing the jersey. You got to be honest with yourself and say, okay, let me look. How many shortstops do they have? If I'm a shortstop, if I'm a catcher, do they already have 4? If so, man, it's going to be tough. And if I can't see myself playing, again, I got to pause. It may look really good in the recruiting tweets that go out, but am I going to play there? If it's no, take a pause. If you say yes, let's move to the third one. The third question I ask everybody is, does it work financially for myself and my family? Okay, because no kid wants to strain his family, and no parents want to not be able to provide for their kid. Okay, and it's different for every family, so you have to look at each opportunity uniquely, uh, weigh those decisions, and once you get 3 check boxes, why am I waiting? I just got 3 checks, then I should go ahead and say yes. But if I can't put a check, if I don't like the city, or I'm uncomfortable, or I'm unsure if I'm going to play, then it's okay. And yes, some coaches are going to put time limits on you. That's all right. That's not the place for you. Okay, so have a little bit of faith in making those decisions. And of late, I've been telling all of the young players that they're the CEO of their corporation, right? And their corporation is a baseball player. Now, you have a son, he's going to college. He's the CEO, he's driving the bus, but the family is the CFO. They're the chief financial operators and officers and funding of making sure they can support him. And then they have COOs as people that help him make decisions, but ultimately it's their decision. We just need to make sure from a family standpoint and the support group around them that we give them enough information, we slow them down, we get rid of some of the stressors that are in their life, because a lot of the decisions are being made to make sure they put that blanket on the table and say, hey, I committed here, and then it's over. But going to college, when you commit, that's not the finish line. That's the starting line. And so we have to look a little bit further, and let's make sure we find a place where you can play. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy. Okay, it's all for nothing. You're miserable. Now your family's miserable. Uh, so those are the 3 things we really go over with every kid.
Right. A lot of times it's parents that put added pressure on the players, wanting them to stay close to home. And I understand, trust me, I would rather see my son close to home so I can go watch every game. With the live streams they have to be able to watch the games, my son was 15 hours away, but I didn't miss a game. I mean, I was able to watch every game he played, and it was a good fit for him. It made him grow up and become an adult on his own. So, if you're a parent out there and you can't allow your kid to go 5 or 6 or 10 hours away from home, then you probably failed as a parent, because they need to grow up. They're 18, 19 years old, and you need to be able to cut them loose a little bit, let them grow up on their own, make some good decisions. Like you said, at home, playing right in your backyard, but sitting the bench, it really doesn't matter how close you are. It's not a lot of fun, and the parents aren't going to want to go pay to get in the games to go watch you sit the bench. So, it's all about finding the best fit that you can get on the field and evaluating whole situation. Like you said, look how many players they carry on the team. Look how many players in that position they carry. There's a lot that goes into it, making sure they have your major that you want to major in. It's a lot more than just, hey, I want to be, 2 hours away from home.
Sure. Well, they also have a saying, it takes where you've been and what you've been through to create who you are. So at times I tell parents, let them go through some things, because now they're becoming a young man. They're not there yet. You're not giving them a blank checkbook and say, go buy yourself something. So still be the CFO, still help them to make decisions, but let them go out. And it's okay if they go through some heartache and some failure, because that failure leads to success as long as they keep getting up. If you have to keep waking up your kid and checking on him every day and making sure he goes to school, eventually they have to learn how to manage their own life and manage their own time. And so there's positives and negatives, whether it's staying close to home, far away from home, but let that be one of the factors you look at. Don't let it be the only factor. And a lot of times when I get phone calls, it'll be families saying, yeah, my son wants to play college baseball, but it's got to be within 2 hours. Well, I got to tell you, in the state of Louisiana, we only have 5 total junior colleges, and they're not all close to one another. And a lot of the abilities of the players, if they're in that average to above average high school player, and again, I say that they're an above average high school player, they're really a junior college type guy. And we don't have a lot of options. So they're going to have to travel. They're going to have to go away. And parents, they're going to make new friends. They're going to be uncomfortable for about a week or 2 weeks, and then they're going to be fine. And they're going to meet lifelong friendships. They're going to go through stuff. They're going to learn how to do their laundry. They're going to learn how to cook on their own. They're going to have to clean up their room on their own. Some of the things they should have been doing earlier, now they're going to be forced to do it. And I think that's positive.
Yeah, the purpose of this show is to educate, parents and the players on the opportunities and what it takes to play at the next level and all the different recruiting aspects of the game. We're not trying to upset any parents or anything like that. Really have to do an honest evaluation of, yourself, your kids, the programs that they're looking into. We're writing that book right now on the SWOT analysis for a student athlete. And that's what you want to look at. You want to look at the strengths, you want to look at the weaknesses, you want to look at the opportunities and the threats. I mean, you can't just go and say, okay, well, he got an offer to go play an hour away from home. That's where we want to go. It's not always a good fit. And most of the time I get calls after the third semester saying, hey, can you help me find another place to play, because we didn't really realize this was going to happen, which if they would have did that evaluation from the get-go, they would have known it was going to happen, and they could have made a better decision at the beginning.
Well, I think you're going to know as we go through this show, some of the things that you and I have agreed that we're going to talk about is like the portal. Okay. And right now the portal is a big deal. And anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's, they have a rule that's going on right now. It started, I believe, on the 28th, it went into effect of April. And until July 1st, any 4-year player has the opportunity to transfer with no penalties. Well, there's some rules involved, but the majority of 4-year players have the ability to leave that school and go to another school with no penalty. And I'm seeing a lot of guys' choices changing. I mean, we're getting called every day. Some of what I'm noticing is that players might have committed early. Okay. And there's one particular that he committed early from high school. He was a big commitment. But whenever he got to that college, the coach that recruited him was no longer there. All right. The kid ends up redshirting. Okay, now this is an early commit where they invested a lot of money. They end up redshirting him this year, and it's not the same environment because over the 2 years between when he committed and when he showed up, a lot of data changed. They had COVID. They recruited another guy, which, well, he was a catcher. Well, he wasn't going to stay a catcher. He was going to end up being a first baseman, and he can really hit, and he's got more experience. So all of a sudden you find yourself on campus and you're saying, this isn't what I signed up for. And that's part of when you're finding the right fit. There doesn't need to be the urgency at 15 years old or 16 years old that you have to commit. That's why we always say there's arbitrary dates. I mean, if your son has a girlfriend whenever he's a sophomore, do you go buy an engagement ring or do you let him date a little while and it may not be the one for him? And I think with baseball right now, it's gone absolutely nuts, because so many people are putting pressure. Even the parents, when they're calling us, they feel that pressured that if their son doesn't commit between their sophomore and junior year. And the truth is, I mean, how many guys we talk, there's guys committing right now. Okay. We'll mention them all later, but we're talking after their senior season, and it's a bunch of them. It's not one or two. And there's going to be so many more in July. There's going to be guys committing. And I'm not talking about just the weakest of weak schools or the weakest of weak players. It's going to be good schools, good programs, good players. And there's a trickle effect. There's going to be spots that are open, but it always goes down to the tolerance of the anxiety for that athlete and family.
I had the conversation with a couple of parents this morning about that same fact. They want to hurry up and rush and try to find a good fit. And I told them to relax and wait till July, because right now everybody is recruiting the portal. Because this is new for everybody. Everybody in baseball, this is brand new. So they want to go after the portal first before they even go recruit junior college players, because they can get experienced players from Division I, Division II universities that they feel are better fit for their program. So if they can just be patient and wait till July, there's going to be a lot of spots available still.
Well, the other thing is, and whenever it's a parent, it's their first time going through something. It feels new to them. It's not new to us. What's also happening right now is you're going to start seeing the revolving door of coaches. Okay. This is the time at the end of the season where they start. One coach will take a job, which creates an opening for another coach to come in there. And there's going to be movement throughout the collegiate level, throughout the high school levels. This is when it happens. So a lot of times as an athlete, you want to wait this out. You want to see, because the questions when you went to that college, if the recruiting guy that you like, who you decided this is the program, is no longer there, well, it makes it tough. Now we've got a built-in excuse. So at times, we're calling it a free agent like it's pro baseball, but if you're an uncommitted player, don't just jump at the first thing. Weigh all your options. Okay. And if people put too much pressure on you and they get upset, is that really where you wanted to go anyway? Is that the kind of character of a leader that's going to be your head coach and your mentor for the next couple of years? Well, to me, if he flips out on me, you made the decision quite easy. Right. So just openly communicate and, ask questions. How long is the coach going to be there? Does he plan on leaving? Because these are big decisions.
Right. Yeah. And there, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of these recent signings that we had. My time, we've had a lot of signees over the past couple of years. Just this past year, we've had 177 players signed to 93 different colleges. So, and again, I think summer we'll have quite a few more, move on here in the next few weeks, and then a lot more after July 1st. So, you want to talk a little bit about some of the signees that you know about?
Sure. Like one of them, I want to, we've known him for years. I've known his family, but kadelynn from New Iberia, I sent him a private letter. So now it's not going to be so private. I'm not a big social media post it where the world can see it and kind of grab credit. I see that going on. Well, with Cade, I remember him in 8th grade coming out to a ballpark, wanting to play. But there was a lot of guys that were juniors and seniors. And I looked at his dad and I said, hey, it's going to be over his head as long as he's willing to get back up and you're okay with it. Well, he did. And he was probably 5'7", 130 pounds soaking wet. A lot of people in the world didn't believe in him. Well, he started working. By the way, he was always a good student. And I'm talking 4.0, good student. But he starts working after his freshman year. People still making fun of him. They don't see him as a prospect. But what I'm seeing is the growth between that 8th grade year and that 9th grade year. And I see the track that he's on, and it's moving upward. Then his sophomore year comes, and now he's 78 to 81. And they're going, hey, he doesn't throw hard enough. Well, he's a sophomore. They still don't give him a lot of credit. His junior year comes around. He gets a little playing time, but it's not overwhelming. We had COVID that hit. And then all of a sudden you're seeing the 84s to 86s. He's becoming a guy. Well, now he's been over 90. He'll get in the upper 80s. He can throw from different arm slots. He had multiple offers. He commits to Mississippi College. I'm really proud of him because he was the guy going to the weight room training. He didn't just attend a team practice. He went above and beyond. Your valedictorians, people think they just go to school. No, they go above and beyond. They're studying at home. They're reading books. They don't just attend, which is the minimum requirement of a student. Well, to be an athlete, you have to attend your team practice, but not to be elite. You have to go above and beyond. Okay, those guys go above and beyond. And Cade represents what you can become And I think all players should look at it because his track has always been up. And I happened to talk to Mississippi College today. They're excited because he has a role to go into, meaning as a freshman, they're expecting him to come in and give them innings. Now, whether it's going to be starter, middle, late, that's yet to be determined, but they're excited. And he's going into a place. I think he found a good fit. It works for his family. It's probably 5-6 hours from home, but great place, good coaching staff. We're excited for him and their family.
He went up to Hayes, Kansas, 15
Sure.
hours away. He got an offer there, and we went to a couple of junior colleges in Kansas and Oklahoma. So he did it right. He went through and he weighed all the options, and I agree. I think Mississippi College is a great fit for him, and he's going to go in and compete for a spot right away.
Sure.
Great kid, love his work ethic. Got a size 15 shoe, so it took him a little while for his coordination to catch up with that body, but now he's tough on the mound. He's fun to watch. I'm excited for him and his family.
Absolutely. The next guy I'm going to mention is a catcher, Matt Abshar, went to Panola, and here's how these things, they're right fits. For him, he basically is not going to go back to junior college. He's had 2 years, which technically he could go back as a freshman. Okay, so it's tough to look your coach in the eyes and say, hey, I got to move on, but he's a really strong academic person. So yes, I know a lot of people can go back, but when you're a strong academic person that has your ducks in a row, you're moving in the right direction, both athletically and academically, he takes the chance. And, I'm glad to see now he's got Division I offers. He's got some Division II offers, NAI offers. He's got options, and now he's in the process again because you didn't have any 4-year schools that could really go out and watch him over at Panola where he had a good year. Okay, so he's been offered before by Division I's. He had Power 5 schools that have offered him, and he needed to play. He needed to get his at bats, get his work in. So I really respect what he's going through and where I think he'll end up. Really good kid, hard worker, and that goes with every one of them. The next guy I'm going to mention, and I'm going to embarrass you, but I'm going to mention your son, and I know we can elaborate because you can speak from a personal standpoint. But I knew Drake when he was coming out of high school. Okay, now he's committed to a Division I program. But I'm going to look at the journey he made. When he left high school, I believe he committed to Wharton, right? He went over there and he was going to be a backup player. And he decided, you know what? This isn't what I want to be. I want to go work out. I want to get in shape. I want to be the best I can be. He transferred, redshirted. And within about a year, you started to see this transformation of a kid. And how far is Dodge from where you live? It's got to be
12 hours.
So again, nobody forced him. You didn't get on the phone and say, hey, you got to wake up, you got to go to the gym. But the young player that I saw coming out of high school and then a year later seeing him, it was not even close, okay? The transformation had begun. And he started the compound effect. I'm a huge fan of Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. Small, smart choices done repeatedly over time equal drastic results. He went from being a good runner to a great runner. He went from being an average thrower to now he's got an above average arm. He went from being a guy who could handle the bat a little bit to he can really handle the bat, and he's got some pop. Okay, so he went from junior college, then he goes ahead and commits and goes in and starts at a Division II school right away, and he puts up crazy sick numbers. Okay, he just owns the level, which with any elite athlete, one thing that I tell parents is you can be good in high school, but did you own that level? Well, Drake owned a lot of the categories. I think he punched out maybe 11 times the whole year. He's a threat, and recently he committed to UNO, and I'm thrilled for him. I look forward to being able to see him. Now he's closer to home, but let's look at where he went, what he was willing to go through to create who he is today. And maybe you want to comment on him a little bit, naturally being his father, but I mean, you've got to be proud because he's not the same person anymore. He's matured, not just as an athlete, but he's been through stuff psychologically, socially, academically. I mean, I think it's positive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's always worked hard, and work ethic's always been, something that I've been proud of with him. His mental toughness has been, exceptional. He always learning the game. He studied Barry Bonds early on, and, he lives by the Barry Bonds quote saying, you never enjoy your success until you can quickly forget your failures. So, he's learned to overcome, the failures and the mistakes that baseball brings into your life. He talked to some pro scouts early on and he asked, what does it take to get to play at the pro level? And they told him, be the most exciting player on the field. So that's what he did. He goes out and he works hard. He put on 20 pounds from the time he started at Wharton to the time he got to, his freshman year at Dodge City after his redshirt freshman year. So, He did all that on his own. I mean, I was just 12 hours away. I wasn't with him. I didn't tell him to go to the weight room after their practices. Everything he did was on his own. I can't take any credit for it. I'm glad that he's going to be at UNO. It's 4 miles from my house now, so I'll be able to go and see him every game. But that's not the deciding factor. I mean, he went through a couple of different options. He had some other Division I options, as far as California, Texas, Oklahoma. He decided to come to UNO because it was just a good fit. He knows they need outfielders. He talked to the coaches. He loves the coaching staff there. So I'm excited for him. I think he made the right decision, and everything he does is on his own. And I appreciate you talking about him and saying good things about him. But I'm excited to see what happens the next 2 years for him at UNO.
Sure, I am as well. Well, the next guy I'm going to mention hasn't committed yet, but he had a fantastic freshman year, even though it's a second-year freshman based on COVID, and that's Christian Collier out of LB Wallace. And a lot of people, if they start looking him up, a lot of college coaches know him right now because he's in the top 10 in almost every category in junior college baseball. 17 home runs, hit over 350. He can really run. He's truly got all 5 tools. He's on the draft boards. I think he's going to be an exciting player. I talked to his family because they're getting offers, and again, I can feel it. And his dad played pro ball, played with the Red Sox, and no matter how much he knows and he's been through it, when it's his son, he's starting to feel that anxiety, and all of a sudden they want to commit, but it changes in between days. And so we just keep telling him, you don't have to rush. You don't have to make a decision today. You need to take your time, go through the 3 things. Christian called me last week, and it was one of those days where he was really excited about one particular school. And I asked him how far it was. And he said, why? I said, I'm just asking, do you enjoy your parents being around or grandparents seeing you play? And he goes, well, yeah. It's okay. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things you need to write out what's important to you. And as you get older, you get to start deciding, especially when you have the ability that he has. And as players are excelling, they get to have more options. They've created that. That's not a gift. They created it. Well, now he gets to decide what's important to him. Is it going to be the brand that he puts on him, or is he going to be the brand no matter where he goes? Does he want mom and dad and grandparents to see him, or does he want to go away because he really likes certain programs? He gets to make all these choices. So I'm really excited to see where he ends up because he is a national level player and there's a lot of interest. And, I look forward to seeing things from him in the next few years. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in a professional uniform. The last guy. Yeah, the last guy I'll mention is, I've known him for years since high school, and I'll talk briefly about him. Is Will Vaillant. I believe he's committed to UL now. He's from Baton Rouge Community College. He hit 347 this year, 14 home runs, stole 20 bags, 58 RBIs. He can run. He's got all the tools. What's really funny is if I go backwards, LJ Dupuis was the coach at BRCC. It's before Thomas, and there wasn't a lot of interest in Will. Everybody kept saying he's a raw athlete. He's a raw athlete. Well, he had 5 tools. Okay. Now he swung and missed a lot. And I said, well, it's going to take some good coaching. Okay. It's going to take some work. And I was really glad because he took the chance to go to BRCC and started the process. Well, we fast forward each year, he's gotten better. Okay. The strikeouts now are cut, 1 out of every 25. 25% rather than 50%. If you start going through all the splits, you see a lot of power guys strike out a lot. He's improved so much over the past 3 years that doesn't come from not, just showing up to practice. He's loved the game. He dives in. He doesn't even know that I know all of what's going on in his life, but the amount of time he spends in a weight room, this dude's a Greek goddess. Okay. So he's going to be exciting. He's got all the tools. Now it's a big jump from BRCC to UL or any 4-year school just because you don't get the days off midweek. With bottom of the bullpen arms that you will face. So he's still got to keep working and keep grinding, but it's an attribute to, again, when he was coming out of high school, there was not a lot of interest. I believe the only option he had, and that was after literally talking to LJ saying this guy deserves it. And LJ had been a pro scout forever, so he really understood the tools. They gave him the chance. Okay. So LJ gave him the start, which leads him to play for Thomas, to become Thomas's dude. Okay. And now commit and, hopefully play in front of 4,000 or 5,000 fans in the future. So really excited for him. Originally out of Notre Dame and, really good ball player. So.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start off talking about 3 guys that we actually helped get to Coastal Alabama Community College in Bruton a couple of years ago. Cole Saunier, Luke Sweeney, and Dustin Hernandez, and all three of them remained my time members while they were in junior college, and we helped them recently get signed. So Cole's going on to an NAIA school in Georgia at Point University. He's a phenomenal shortstop. I mean, he's so much fun to watch, and it's fun to watch him. Play every day. I mean, he's going to give it his all, either between the lines, and just plays with so much passion. So I'm excited for him, and I can't wait to see what he can do at Point. Luke Sweeney signed with Spring Hill in Alabama Division II. He can swing it, and he's got some great tools as well. So he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then Dustin Hernandez just recently signed with Alabama A&M to go and pitch for them. So all three of them, like I said, they stayed within our program. They trusted us to help them move on past junior college, and we were able to find them all a good fit, going forward. So wish all three of them good luck. And then I want to talk about Devin Zenon. He's been with us for a while, and he's one of those players that just has some phenomenal tools. He runs well. He's got a plus arm. He swings the bat with some pop. He had some Division I attention early on, but he decided he's going to go to Nunez Community College and play there for 2 years and see what he can do to develop and, get ready for the Division I level from there. Two more guys I want to talk about from South Terrebonne High School, which they had a phenomenal year this year, is Brady Bowen and Cameron Trosclair. Both of those guys committed to Loyola University here in New Orleans. And, that's a great school, academic school, and I'm excited to see what they can do there. And then one of our other players, Jackson Kent, he's from Pace High School in Florida. We actually saw him, scouted him at a combine that we put on, UBO combine, actually in Montgomery, Alabama. And I talked to his dad and him after the race there, and we decided to help him get on, and he decided to go to Pensacola State College. So, and he's got a live arm. He's 88 to 90 with good command, and I expect to see a lot of good things from him coming up.
Well, let me jump in because, and it's not part of a normal segment, but you're naming some of the schools, and because I deal with players every day, and I want parents to know that until you go and see, touch, and feel, okay, you don't know. And a lot of people talk in baseball. You really need to go and see it and understand it and meet the coaches. And instead of the young players saying, oh, I don't want to go there, I heard from one guy, it may be a guy that didn't play there. Okay, most of the guys that are unhappy with their environment, it's because they're not playing and they're not doing well. So that doesn't, whether it's in the SEC or whether it's in, in a junior college, if you're not a big part of that roster and you're not playing a lot, you tend to be like a sour milk. Okay, so they might not be the best references. And you mentioned Nunez. Man, I'm really proud of from where they started to where they are. And there's been some good players coming out of there. There's been pro scouts going to Nunez because they have some players. So I want the parents to know that is a school you need to look at, okay? And then Loyola, phenomenal academic place, right? Butts right up to Tulane. I want people to go and experience, go see the campus, go see what it looks like. The coaches are doing a great job there. Not that they're not at Pensacola State, and, we've known them for years. But a lot of these colleges that you're naming, I hear parents originally rule them out as, no, they wouldn't be interested, but they've never gone. Even other ones, UT Tyler. A lot of people think, where is that? Man, Tyler's a great city. The second you show up on their campus, it looks like a Division I ballpark. UWF. If I didn't tell you it's Division II, you wouldn't think it was Division II. Now that they have football, what are they, the Argonauts? You're talking about a legitimate stadium where they played minor league baseball, a good coaching staff, a heritage of putting out drafted players. Spring Hill, really good program that put out some good players, good academically. And as I go around the region, I think if parents would open up their minds rather than just saying, my kid needs to be at this one or that one, even to the players, look into the schools, find out about them, visit them. A lot of times in the summer, because our company owns a tournament company, and, don't just go play baseball at a school. Go visit that school, walk around campus, start seeing, could you see yourself there? You would be amazed what Millsaps looks like, okay? The second highest earning potential school in the state of Mississippi. You'd be amazed at the law school that Mississippi College is next door to, and that, one of the best ones in the state. But you don't know it unless you go there and you dive in and you look at it. A great nursing program right over at Nichols. I mean, there's a lot, but if you just go and show up and play baseball, you're doing yourself a disservice. And so all the guys that are committing, I mean, we're naming a lot of different schools here. I'm thrilled. They're making the choice to go somewhere where they can play, where they feel comfortable, where they can be happy. And that's really what it's about. Okay. If you're going to be a major league player, Dave, you know this, pro scouts are going to come get you no matter where you're at. Okay. They've done it. There's guys in the big leagues from junior college, NAIA, Division 2, 3, you name it. Okay. So go where you can play, go where you can be happy, and, slow down and make good choices.
Yeah, if you missed one of our first episodes, we talk about D1 or bust. Everybody has that mentality. They got to go Division 1 or they don't want to play. We mentioned it in the book, It's My Time. We talk about Albert Pujols and Billy Wagner and a bunch of big league players, Hall of Fame players that AI schools and Division 3 schools and, became successful baseball players as a profession. So, if you missed those episodes, you haven't looked at our book, go check it out, because we talk a lot about it in the past episode and in the My Time book.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that on the book standpoint, because one of the things I think we did a really good job on there is parents. A lot of times I'll hear the parents talking about their kid's better than this kid. Okay. And they're using their frame of reference, which in my opinion is very small, because they've seen their son and then whatever team perhaps their son played against. Okay. So that's what their frame of reference is. In our book, we give you the attributes of the typical Division I player, the typical Division II player, the typical junior college player. I don't think anywhere in the book or any coach I've ever met did they say, I'm going to recruit a guy that hits over 400 at the high school level. They don't care. Okay. Now, it's important to have good batting averages at some point, but not in high school. Okay. The level of play is too vastly different from day to day. It's not one of the measuring tools. Okay, so we point out exactly what transferable tools athletes need to be focused on, as well as the academics, because if, the majority of money is not from the baseball standpoint, there's only 11.7. It's from the academics you carry. If you're in the state of Louisiana, TOPS, learn what it is, okay, because that's going to pay more than baseball for you. Learn what that merit is at different schools. And I think we did a really good job. So parents, if you're saying, yes, my son's going to be a college athlete, get the facts, because I hear the parents everywhere I go regurgitating this, this stuff off the internet they read, and it's so limited and so incorrect. Get the information, find out what's true. All of the stuff we put in there is fact-based, directly from the source, from the NCAA or from Major League Baseball. There's not a lot of opinions in there. It's a lot of facts. And then parents, you can start looking in the mirror, having your son look in the mirror, hold him accountable, and, having some good, honest conversations. I think it'll be good, because then you're going to be realistic with your expectations moving forward.
And I'm glad you mentioned that about the batting average, because it is important to an extent, but like you said, it's the tools that play and the ability to hit high-level pitching that's important. A lot of times numbers are misleading. You and I talked about this a while back. I went and scouted a couple of Division II games this year, and some of the players had phenomenal numbers, but they had good numbers against 83 and 84 mile an hour pitching, which anything 86 and above, they couldn't touch it. So, if somebody's recruiting them, transfer, off of their numbers, they're going to, be highly disappointed, because if they get up to a Division I level where they're facing 90 plus every game, they're not going to be able to perform like they did against the lesser arms. So, numbers matter to an extent, but the ability to get a high level is a lot more than just numbers.
Sure.
All right. From there, we want to go to the final points, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about collegiate summer leagues. I've been getting a lot of calls lately, trying to get people to help them find a place to play in the summer. And right now it's so late. Most position players, the rosters are full by Christmas before summertime. They have a few leagues that are still looking for pitchers. But as a position player, if you wait till after the season to find a collegiate summer league, you're going to be out of luck, or you're not going to find a really good league. So, we're going to start, helping promote these players in the fall. So any of you college players that want to play summer ball next summer, make sure you contact us and look us up, because we'll help you find a spot. But we really need to get on it and try to find the spots before Christmas break.
Right. In fact, I was talking to some of the players that have in the past been to some really good leagues, and they were saying they signed their commitments and contracts back in August and September for the following year. And you and I have talked. We probably had 15 or 20 guys that have called us in the month of May looking for a place to go. And we're trying to stay away from a lot of the pay-to-play leagues and things like that. But there's a lot of good leagues that are out there, but they're full. So we need to approach them earlier. And so, we've talked about we're going to expand the services we offer to be able to cater to those college players. That's another reason why they should stay members, stay involved, and so that they can understand their options, get their name out there, and go and play in those really good collegiate summer leagues that can really challenge them. And I think it's going to be a benefit for the players because they're waiting too long to do it. And there's a false expectation. A lot of the parents will call and they'll say that coach didn't. I've never heard of a college coach's contract saying that he was required to place his kid. A lot of them do it when they get called, but they're also coaching a college team. Okay. So some of it is the player's responsibility to reach out and say, hey, I have interest, but there's so many leagues now. They don't know which one's the right one, where they should go and what fits for them. So I think we're going to be able to really help a lot of the college players moving forward. The same thing on the pro level. I know we're starting to bring some of the things that we've done in the past 24 years. We're bringing them to my time, and my time starting to upgrade them into the 21st century, so to speak. And with a lot of the guys that are moving on after college baseball, or the desire is, of late, you and I have talked about guys that maybe aren't going to get drafted and they want to still pursue playing professionally. We've been doing it for the last 24 years at GSB, and we've had about 6,000 professional athletes in about 23 countries. Now, that's independent baseball, international baseball. So I just finished a book, and that's really pointing it out. There's not a lot of literature about that out there. And so we're trying to let the athletes know. You'd be surprised at how many calls I get and saying, hey, I'm finishing my season at, XYZ college. I'd be interested in playing in Japan. And I start laughing, but I understand they don't know, because to play in Japan, you need to be a, AAA major league player. You need to have a history behind you, but you don't know that when you're 21 years old. There's got to be a pathway. So a lot of times, if you're not drafted, you need to go into a independent or international setting, and you have to build yourself. And the world may think that you're not good enough at 21 or 22, but I've been a part of a lot of athletes that have not been believed in. And then the next thing you know, they're pitching at the major league level, or they're playing at the major league level on national television. And it's a great feeling whenever you've just been a part of it. Believe me, it's because of the athlete. But when you're Edwin Ramirez, that nobody believed in, strikes out the side for the New York Yankees, you feel pretty good when you were a main part of helping that kid get the opportunity, even at an independent level. He did the work, but we were a part of it. And there's been so many like that. And so, not only the book, but to start providing a better service for these college kids that are pursuing it, whether it's domestically or internationally, being able to give them information, put them in the right place, provide a service to help them understand what does it take, what do I need, how do I get a passport, what is an H-2B visa if you're coming here, or now a P-1. There's so many things they're just not going to be equipped to do, and I think we're going to be able to help a lot of players.
Right. I had a phone call today from one of our My Time members that we got to junior college, and he's now at a Division I school up in New Jersey, and he was asking some questions about playing internationally. Of course, I recommended your book, the Getting Paid to Play book, to him, and he said he was going to order a copy and get a copy to start reading through, but also going to rejoin My Time so we can actually help him find a place to play after college. So we're looking forward to it, and there's so many college players that we can help move on to the next level. And again, summer ball, professional, college, we're covering it all, and we work for you. We're not in it to do anything else but help every player we possibly can fulfill those dreams, play at the highest level possible. We're proud of all the players that have moved on so far, and all the high school players that we're planning on helping move on in the future. So this baseball season has been fun. We had some really good games in the playoffs, and some players were fun to watch, and it's been an exciting year. And we battled through some adversity with all the COVID stuff, and the players are still battling through some adversity, and that's baseball. You know, that's life. You're going to have that every day, you know, every year. I mean, it might not come in the form of COVID or a pandemic, but you're going to have adversity and have some mental challenges. You know, I'm glad to see that people actually battle.
I agree.
One other thing I just want to touch on before we head out of here is we're about to start our performance expos coming up at some of the tournaments this summer. If you're looking to get evaluated and, you know, you don't want to go to a showcase that lasts all day long, you know, check out our website, mytimesports.com. We have some locations that we're going to be setting up the performance expo, and you can get all your data sent out to over 2,000 college coaches, and you can get it done within 15 minutes. You know, so it's going to be very interesting with, you know, professional analytic equipment, your flight scope analytic machines, professional scouts. You know, we're going to get all your data right there at the tournament and be able to send it out to as many college coaches as we can think of.
In time, I think that's going to be a big hit just because the inconvenience of all day showcases where you stand around all day, I think it's going to be convenient. It's much more affordable. There is no, when you start tracking the performance of the different showcase type companies, including what we do, there's nothing that says if I spend 8 hours, I end up getting better results. In fact, they don't. So I think by making it convenient and affordable, you know, if they have a bad day, it's affordable to come back and beat my number. Okay. One of the things that I look at is I go in at some of the companies and I go and look at all of them, but I'll see a kid in 2019 ran a 6.8. He attended in 2020 and 21, but they're still promoting the 2019 foot speed. What does that tell you? He has not gotten any faster since 2019. I've talked to the owners of the companies that started them. I think it's a flawed thing for the kids. I think they should constantly be trying to track and move in a positive direction, but sometimes it's simply not affordable. You know, when it's $450, $500, some are even more than that. Now we're actually taking the sport away from the ability and we're going to the financial ability. And that, you know, a lot of your greatest athletes in the world don't come from money. So I think what you're doing and the expo, it's affordable. I think it's going to be a big hit, man. So I'm happy to be a part of it. Again, one of the things I want to mention is not only on the physical side, because everybody's focusing on it, but the mental side of the game. Dave, with the mental master training, I know now by working with some colleges and some high school players and even some professional players, we can all say baseball is 90% mental and the other half, you know, physical, or Yogi Berra had a saying. But I still notice that everybody, when something goes wrong, if a guy is 0 for 3, the first thing he does is he goes and gets in the cage, which typically is not the solution. So you're going to start seeing us as a company working with you a little bit more, trying to really promote the mental side of the game, having some mentors in your life that you can speak to, having some mental coaches other than just mom and dad that you can talk to, learning how to talk about whenever you fail and getting over it, learning how to cope with playing in front of a lot of fans and you let them down. Some things you had to have gone through before and experienced to understand what that athlete may be going through. It's easy to sit in the stands and say what you should have or could have done, or why did you do this? But I've never met an athlete that wanted to strike out, that wanted to make an error, that wanted to walk a hitter. So the more that we can get the parents engaging and understand, I think then we can get the players to start understanding that it's okay to reach out. They need to. They need to be able to understand the mental side of the game on how to slow things down, how to control their own future. And I know that's what really mental master training is all about. It's not just peak performance physically, but it's emotional health, it's mental health, it's, being able to look at the total person. So glad to be involved, and I look forward to doing more with you on that. And I hope everybody will take the time to go and, download a copy of the book. You'd have to tell me, is it on the ebooks, even with the My Time? I believe now they're online as well as just the paperback or hardback. So it's easy for parents to say, my son wants to be a college player. I think single one of them, take the one day to read the books. Okay. Dive in, learn about it. If people would spend 10 minutes a day over the course of 2 to 3 years, they'd be experts in a subject, but everybody's just reading Cliff Notes. Buy the book, get involved, have your son diving in, and they will only move in a positive direction.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. I love working with the mental side of the game, and a couple of the players we mentioned that are signing to go to Division I schools and further their playing career at other colleges. they work with me hand in hand with the mental side of it as well. So I really enjoy it. We have a good relationship and really enjoy watching them progress on the mental side as well as the physical side. That being said, guys, I'm gonna have links at the bottom of this video for the show on YouTube that you can link to the books, you can link to our website, you can link to itsmytime.tv. Everything you need will be available in the links below. So I'm glad you joined us for episode 6, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next episode. Thanks for joining me, James.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, have a good one.